Hi there. Before I begin, I always believe that we always know where we began, but sometimes we just don't know where we end. And so, with that being said, I'd like to say thank you so much for allowing me to tell my story. I've never told this story in its entirety, so please bear with me, and I thank you. With that being said, I've always thought of courage as some kind of entity. Metaphorically speaking, I always thought that when someone was courageous, they must be wearing this cape, this red cape, because red's my favorite color, red cape with the letter C on it. And they're superhuman, and they have these rays shooting out from their eyes because they're just that awesome. Well, I've learned to discover within my 49 to, almost 50 years, that that's not true, that being courageous comes in many forms, many shapes, many gifts. And the way we learn our gifts comes from many different places and many people. And I'd like to share my story of learning a lesson of courage from 1 pound and 1 ounce. So it was my wedding day, and I was looking really fly. And my girls, Heidi and Olivia, they were looking so pretty, and I was really happy. And, I was wearing my white dress. I was 5 months pregnant. And, yes. Anyway, I came from a family where, I was conservative. My father was a conservative Christian Southern Baptist, not knocking it, but that was it. And then my mom, who came from a family where, it's Mexican culture. So pregnancy equated to marriage. Lucky me. So anyway, so I was really happy, and okay, I'm marrying the man I love, and I wasn't showing. And I was about to walk down the aisle. And as I'm walking with my daddy, all of a sudden, I swear to you, I heard this woman very, whisperly-like, but not whisperly-like, kind of the thing a tia would do, an aunt would do. Oh, she looks so pretty walking down the aisle in her white dress. Oh my God. I swear it took everything in me not to punch her. But I didn't. But anyway, I saw Daddy as I kind of turned to the right, and his jaw clenched, and I knew it hurt his feelings. And it took every amount of courage I had not to tell her anything. Well, I was walking down the aisle, and just to keep going, and just for Daddy to keep going, because I was his only little girl, and I knew I had disappointed him, but we never mentioned it throughout the night. And we got through that night. Anyhow, after that, the weeks started to come, and my belly started growing. And Tony, my husband, was super excited. We found out it was a boy. His name is Aaron Anthony. And we started decorating our home and, just preparing for a baby. And my husband would have me sit on recorded football games for the Chicago Bears, as if somehow my son would be able to, I don't know. But he was sure that Aaron Anthony was going to one day be a linebacker for the Chicago Bears. But I would put Mozart on and Chopin, and, I would read Thoreau, and I would sing to him, and thinking that he was going to become, maybe the male version of Sandra Cisneros. But anyway, we were super excited. Well, one night, we had just finished folding baby clothes and putting them away, and it was dinner time, and I saw this commercial on TV, and it was about Kenny Rogers Chicken. I don't know if you remember that, but I swear to you, Kenny Rogers had chicken here, a chicken place. And I was like, my God, if the man can sing, he sure can make a mean piece of chicken. So I was super excited. Okay, it's pregnant girl problems, but anyway, I don't want to say fat girl, but anyway, okay, it was. But anyway, so when we went to eat, I was super disappointed because Kenny Rogers doesn't make a good chicken. But anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, so we went home, and I was like, Tony, I don't feel good. And I think that it was the chicken. So we get home, And as I'm waddling my way to the restroom, I hear a pop. And all of a sudden, I look down, and there's just liquid just gushing in waves, in many, many ways. And I thought, my God, is this a beginning to an end? But I kept trying to be positive. And so all of a sudden, I panicked and I started screaming, Tony, Tony, come here, Tony. And he runs in, and I remember him start to gulp, just gulp. And I thought, my God, just stop, just help me. And he walks me to the bedroom, and then we started noticing that there was trickle of blood starting to run down my leg. And then eventually the whole bed the sheets were entrenched with blood. So I hear him call, and we didn't have cell phones back then. You all know that, right? Y'all are my age too, right? Anyway, and so he's calling, hurry, hurry, come get my wife. There's something wrong. There's blood. She's about to have a baby. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And the next thing I heard was, Heidi, 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 hurry up. Something's wrong, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the baby. And I knew at that point, because when he would call Heidi, it was to calm him down, because he just irritated me, and she was able to calm him down all the time. And I knew something was wrong once that happened. But the next thing I remember was I was in a hospital room, and the doctor luckily was already doing some rounds at the hospital. And so he looks at me and he says, you're about to give birth. I'm going to go suit up. And I saw him gulp, and I thought, okay, that's strange, but you know what? Wait, hope springs eternal. He said I'm going to have a baby. Everything's going to be fine. But as he's leaving, I turn, and the nurse is readying things, and I notice she just looks so sad, and she's gulping too. She's doing that. And I'm thinking, what's going on? I'm not quite sure what's happening. And I ask her, what is happening? What's going to happen? What's wrong? And she tells me, like in the most angelic voice I've ever heard, sweetheart, you're going to give birth to a stillborn baby. Sweetheart, he's too underdeveloped. He will not live. He probably won't be born alive. And I swear I got so angry, and with every ounce of me, I just screamed at her, yes, he will. And an hour later, I did give birth to Aaron Anthony. He was 1 pound and 1 ounce, and about the size of my hand. And as he entered this world, I could see him struggling to breathe. And as my husband was holding him, I reached over, because I was still working on the afterbirth, and I reached over to kiss his little doll-like lips and just to stroke his little head. And as I was stroking his head, he grabbed me. His little fingers just grabbed me and just held on so tight. And I'm telling you, that is the best feeling I've ever had in my life. But at that moment, that little boy, all of 1 pound and 1 ounce, taught me a lesson that I've always used, and probably the most useful lesson I've ever learned in my life. To have strength in the face of adversity, because he did. He knew I needed him to come into this world so I could say goodbye. So I could tell him I loved him. So I could tell him that his existence, his life mattered, even if it was for 1 minute in the world. And I did. I told him goodbye, and I'm super proud of you, baby boy, and I love you. And he just grasped a little harder, as if to say, it's okay, Mom. Goodbye. And with that, he took his last breath. And he was gone. But I didn't have the courage at that moment to peel his little fingers off of my forefinger. The nurse had to do it for me. But I learned my lesson from him. We buried him 2 days later. And then about a week and a half later, I went back to the doctor, and I was like, "Doctor, why did this happen? Why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to him?" And he tells me, "I need you to sit down." He says, "Yolanda, you have a small uterus, and you may never be able to carry another child." I thought he was joking. A small uterus? Look at me. I mean, I can accept the fact that I'm beautifully bigger than most women I know, but a small uterus? I mean, I chuckled, and then I sarcastically thought, man, my Creator has a really big sense of humor. But anyway, as I was telling my friends and my sisters this, friends that I call my sisters, Heidi reaches over to me and she grabs my hand. And she says, "You know what, Yolanda? Don't worry. I'll carry a baby for you. I love you." And I thought to myself, that took a lot of courage for her to say, and even more courage for me to hear, because I thought, that's going to be my truth. I'm never going to be able to carry a baby. And I'm going to have to depend on her to do this for me. And I thought, isn't that a beautiful thing? That's another lesson I learned. And I just thought, I'm so lucky. Anyhow, that was about 24 years ago. 21 years ago, I had a beautiful baby boy, and his name is Zachary Michael. He's 6'3", and he's going to finish college in a year, and he is the biggest blessing. And it was the most wonderful thing, but you know what? I'm going to tell you, every time that I face occurrences that happen in my life, life-changing occurrences, I think of Aaron Anthony and his lesson, you have to be strong and have courage in the face of adversity. Like when my husband died 12 years ago of a heart attack, and I had to bury him, and I thought, what about all the other women who live by their own truths? Those women out there, for whatever it is, divorced women, single moms, disabled moms, mothers with terminal illnesses like cancer, widows. And I think about the women who went before me, like my mom, who raised 5 kids and had a full-time job while my dad was out working, like my grandmother who went blind at 49 years old, like my grandmother who was married off at 15 years old. And then I look to the side of me and I think about May and Allison, and then I think about Heidi's and Kelly's and their truths. And then I think about the women behind me, little Polly girl and Leslie, and then I think to myself, if I could just tell courage and write courage a note, what would it be at the end? And this is what I think. Dear Courage, we're all wearing our red capes with the letter C on it. We're all banding together, and we are all going to face, with courage, we're going to face adversity. And then I would write in all caps, we've ... got ... this! ! Bam! Thank you.